Welcome everybody to this Board Game Life's video look at the game Infection, Humanity's Last Gasp, designed by John Gibson in 2013 and released by Victory Point Games. As you can see here, it is in one of the new Victory Point Games boxes. It's not in a bag, a Ziploc bag, and it's got a full color sleeve. It's one of the smaller boxes in comparison to some of their other games. And it fits nicely on the shelf, and let's kind of take a look to see what's inside of here. Opening up the box, we've got wipes a lot here. So this is a little cocktail napkin that they use to wipe the pieces down a little bit, because the pieces are cut by a laser. That does leave a little bit of soot on the edges. As you can see, I did not wipe this game down, and I have no intention of doing it. It plays just fine, doesn't get your fingers dirty like some people say. So then we've got an instruction manual over here. The instruction manual is 22 pages. It does a pretty good job of explaining everything and setup and all the rules and all that. We have a couple sets of cards. Card quality is rather nice. They're very good quality cards, just a smooth finish, not linen or anything like that, but that's okay. And then you can see here the different style cards that we've got. There's two different style cards here. Alright. Then we've got this guy here is where all of the pieces were punched out, and you can see it's a very close fit. One little tip that I kind of figured out as I was punching this out, in order to keep from damaging the pieces as you're punching them out, it kind of helps to bend this just a little bit. So you bend this and the pieces come out a little bit easier. And it's actually a fairly nice thick board here that they come out of. And I was pleasantly surprised by this. And again, some people complain about the soot on there. No worries. As you can see, I've been handling this over here, and I don't have anything on my fingers right now. And here's all the pieces. There's a board and a die. The board has two sides. There's a viral side, which is the more advanced side, and there's the bacterial side here. So let's set the game up and see how it plays. Alright, so here we've got the game fully set up. A couple things I want to point out over here. So we've got status cards over here, which is, we're going to be flipping one of these over in each turn, and we're going to follow basically what it says. Over there we've got the lab cards. Those are lab personnel and lab equipment that we can purchase, one card per turn. Then we have a number of different tokens. We have protein tokens, which are these guys over here. They say to put them in a cup, but for this demonstration here, I'm going to be doing it on a table here. And these tokens over here are different shapes. So you can see this guy is a circle with a triangle in it. And there's a couple different ones, circles with a circle in it, etc. And you'll see those in a moment. There's a die that you get over here, which you'll be using to roll containment checks. These are special tokens that are used on some of these cards here. And then these guys here are molecules. So I've used some of these molecules here, and I've populated them there in the middle of the board. And that is for, let me see if I can zoom in here for you. Those right there have populated the center of the virus or the bacteria. I guess it's probably bacteria in this one, since we're playing with the bacterial board. And all of these have letters on them, so the letters are A through L, and you can see we've got a little bit of a distribution right over there. Then right below it we have the funding track. So it uses this token right here, so we're on the 5, so that's 15 million. At the top of that we have the death toll. Right now it's at the lowest value that it can be, which is 1. And this shows what we have to roll for our containment check. So our containment checks is 3 to 6, and then as it goes up into the different levels, so we're initially outbreak, then we go to epidemic, and then pandemic. As we increase these different groups here, you can see that it becomes more and more difficult to pass the containment check. And if you don't pass the containment check, then the virus kind of escapes, and of course that's a bad thing. And then it shows you how much extra funding you get per different phase. So here in the outbreak, every turn we get $2 million. So we adjust this board over here. Okay, right below that, let me pan down a little bit here. Right below that, we have the protein pool. These are proteins that we'll use to build our antibodies, and we start off each turn with 4, so we draw 4 of these, and we place them out over there. And right above that, if you can see those numbers, 0, 1, 2, and 4, that is the cost of the particular protein. So on each turn you can buy 1 or 2 proteins, and you just add the numbers up. So if you get this one and this one, that will cost you 2 million. If you get these 2, it'll cost you 1, or if you get just that one, of course, it'll be 0. To the right of that, we have our, let me zoom out so you can see, actually I'll just leave it here. As over here on the antibody board, you can see that we've got all of the different molecules listed. So for example, here's K, and K is composed of 5 different proteins. And each of these is a different shape, as you can see here. And what you do is, as you purchase these protein pools that we showed just a couple seconds ago, you immediately put them on an antibody. So this would go over here. When you complete one of these, so if I complete all of these with its appropriate shapes, then I have K that I can then use to target the molecules in the virus on the main Petri dish board. Okay, and then we can talk about the cards real quick. So let me zoom out. What you have with the cards is status cards here. So you can see, for example, this one over here, yes, yes, grow big and strong for daddy. It's got a couple different parts to it. There's a mutation, a lab, and deaths. So mutation is something that you carry out immediately as soon as you draw the card. Basically, usually it puts more molecules onto the the virus or bacteria itself. The lab will basically have certain effects, either good or bad, sometimes neutral or nothing. They vary from card to card. And then the deaths portion, what that does is it affects usually your containment roll. Sometimes it can be good or bad, etc. So this is going to be our first card, and as the part of the game over here, first thing that we do is we draw this card. So let's see what it says. So mutation, draw 2 molecules from the molecule pool and place them on hexes B2 and B6. So those hexes are all labeled with numbers. There's 3 rings. There's A in the center, which we have the B molecule on right there. And then we have the B ring, which is fully populated around it. And then we have the C ring all the way on the outside of that. So we're going to take 2 molecules at random. We have an E, and we're going to put them on B2, and we replace. And the next one is an H, which goes on B6. So you can see our virus is mutating right now. So if you were trying to target those certain letters that disappeared, of course now they are gone. So these would be out of the game. I'm just going to put them here temporarily right here since I don't have a cup or anything. And then the next part of this card over here says lab. Let me get in there. Lab, Eugene has really outdone himself, coaxing new proteins out of the incubator. You may harvest 3 proteins this round. So instead of harvesting 2 of those guys out of the protein pool, I get to do 3, up to 3. And then the last part over here is the deaths section. A more virulent mutation of the virus has sprung up in Vermont. Subtract 2 from your roll on the containment check this round. So that is going to make the containment check pretty tough, because normally you need to roll a 3 to 6. Well, if you subtract 2 from a d6 roll, then we're probably not going to make it. So, but that's our card, and here we'll put it off to the side. So that was the first phase over there, where we basically go through the status report, we go through the card, carry out what it does, and then that sets up our turn. So the next phase is the player action phase, where we can do a number of different things. We can draw, we can get these guys over here, and remember that that card allows us to do 3 this particular turn, or to get 3 this particular turn, and that's what we're going to do. So we'll go through and see what we need here. So let's see, what do we need? What do we need? One thing to keep in mind is that when you're targeting a particular molecule over here, it has to have 3 open spaces. You can see these are hexes. Like this A has 3 open spaces. I can target that. I can target any of these, but I cannot target the B because it does not have 3 open spaces. So you essentially need to work your way from out to the center. And that's how you would defeat that particular virus. Let's see what we're going to do here first. So move that out of the way. Forgot about that earlier. So we have a number of different molecules that we can use right there. So let's see what we've got out here. We've got A, which we can do the circle, actually the circle within a circle here, and we can target B, which is in the center, which we can't do much with right now. Let's see what else we got. We'll do what else? We can target E. Yeah, let's go after that one. So what I'll do is I can get 3 viruses, or 3 proteins this time. So what I'll do is I'll grab 1, 2, and 3 proteins. So that's going to cost me $3 million. So we bump this guy down 1, 2, 3, and these have to be immediately placed on the board. So put this guy here on E, and make sure to keep track of the inside and the outside of the proteins. It's real easy to mistakenly put them down like over here, but it doesn't belong there. So that would go there, this would go here, and what else do we want to target? How about not B, not A, where would this guy go? Do we have an F over there? We do not have an F. Could potentially do an H, like that right there. So right now we placed our 3 proteins down and we paid for them. So we're down to $12 million in funding, and we are 1 away from solving the E antibody. Okay, after this, we can try to target a molecule. Unfortunately, we don't have anything finished, so we can kind of skip that. And then we can go and we can purchase lab cards, either lab equipment or personnel cards, which are these cards over here on the right. So we've got a couple of different cards that we've got available here. So let's take a look at one of these here. So we've got the centrifuge. What this does is it lets us draw 2 molecule tokens from the molecule pool, which is right down over there. That's all little round guys. Discard 1 to the discard pile. The other will be the first molecule selected when you draw a status report card, which are those guys over there. And special event tokens cannot be discarded. So that's a special kind of token that's mixed in the deck. There's 2 essentially good ones and 2 bad ones. And you have to just carry out whatever the the action is whenever you draw them, and then you draw your next molecule. The other thing to keep in mind over here is that the first unit of this card costs 3 million, and then the second of these cards costs 6. So of course you can see that there's 2 of this particular card. And then the success rate, so you have to roll a 4 to 6 to make this successful. And if you have 2 of these, you guarantee your success by it automatically completing. Alright, so that's this guy over here. Let's see what this other lab card is. This is the electron microscope. Draw a protein token from the protein pool. This will be an additional protein to harvest from the incubator, which is that guy right over there, where all of the proteins are. So that's the incubator. And it'll be 0 cost. It counts towards your harvest limit, though. So if you can only draw up to 1 or 2 on your normal turn, unless you have a special card like the one that we just had over there. And then again, this one costs 2 mil for the first, and then 4 mil for the second card, 4 to 6 to guarantee to have a successful action with one card. And if you have 2 of these, then it's automatic again, so you don't need to roll the d6. So let's see, do I want either one of these two? Oh, and there's also a personnel card. These guys gave you some special abilities. This is Dr. Adam Schlinker. He's the intern, and he's the first-year intern at the DPC. His talents lie with working in the field. So you place a +3 containment check roll token on this card when working with Dr. Melinda Yee. So you have to have him and Melinda Yee. Place any status report card token on this card when working with Dr. Amanda Brown. And you do that other token with Amanda Brown. This costs 3 million. To purchase him, and then these are the 2 tokens that you can place on this card, and that's these guys right over there. So what do? Well, for the time being, let's take this guy over here. So this is the Electron Microscope Mark I, and there's different mark levels on these as well. So it's 2 million for the first card. So we'll just take this card over here, and then we bump 1, 2. So now we're at 10 million. We could also go here. So we're at 10 million money right now in funding. And that is the end of our player action phase. Now we move on to the containment check phase. So this is not going to be pretty. This will not be pretty. So we have a particular situation with the status card over there where we have to subtract 2 from our roll. So we've only got 1 chance over here to pass this containment check, and that is if we roll a 6. So 6 minus 2 makes it 4, and we have to roll 4 or 6 based on our spot over here. I'm sorry, 3 or 6. I guess we can roll a 5 or a 6. Sorry about that. And let's see what happens. So 5. Subtract 2 from that. That's a 3. 3 to 6. We passed our containment check, and we're good. We stay here. If we failed the containment check, we would need to bump this guy up to death toll level number 2. So we're going to stay over there for the time being. Okay, now that the containment check phase is done, we've got a quick cleanup phase, and what happens with this is we clean up the incubator. So we take out everything that was in the incubator, and we draw 4 more proteins, and we just put them here, left to right. And these numbers on these little proteins show you how many of them there are in the game. So we reset the incubator, and then the lab cards over here, I draw a card to replace the one that we bought. So we've got Marvin the rat. He's the lab rat. And if there's any lab cards that are exhausted, we basically reset them, and we don't have any that are exhausted right now. That means if you use one of them. And the last thing is income. So being that we're in stage 1 on the death toll track, so we're in outbreak over here, we get $2 million, so we get bumped up to 12 million from 10. And that is pretty much it for a turn. So we'll go through another turn and see how that plays out. Hopefully we'll be able to do something with the viruses over here. So on this one over here, we have the mutation. Draw 3 molecules from the molecule pool and place them on hexes B1, B3, and B5. So let's play that out and see what happens. So we draw 3 molecules and we put them on B1. Oh boy. B3. This guy is mutating quite a bit. You can see that. And then B5. All right. Then the next thing that we've got is Sylvia researches a solution to reach more difficult molecules. You may destroy a molecule with only 2 exposed sides this round. Fantastic. So normally it has to have 3 exposed sides down there, but now we can do only 2. And let's see what the death section is. There we go. A flower found in the Brazilian rainforest looks promising. No change to your roll on the containment check this round. Fantastic. So hopefully we'll pass that as it stands. Okay, so we did that. That was our status report phase. Now we'll do the player action phase. So we'll go through here. We can buy 1 or 2 of those particular molecules over here. Look at that. We can get that one for 0 and place it here, and we'll complete E. And what else can we do? We can do this guy over here. So, okay, this is what we'll do. We'll take these 2 over here, and it's going to cost us 1 million. So 0 plus 1 is 1 million. We'll put this guy on H right there. So half of that antibody is done. And then we put this guy on E. So what that does now is, now that we have E antibody completed, we can go through and we can target all of the molecules over there inside the virus that have the same letter. And how we do that is as such. So these guys over here are done out of the game for the moment, and we take the E and we place it here to signify that it is basically solved. And then any other E's on here we can target as well. Right now we don't have any other ones, so we only targeted 1 E. And then there's actually funding that you get for completing these. So when you complete an antibody, and only on that particular turn, is when you can profit from basically destroying the molecules. And the pay rate is this. If it's in the A hex right over here, you get 6 million. If it's in the B ring, you get 4 million. And if it's in the C ring, you get 2 million. So as it would have it here, we were in the B ring, and that pays us $4 million. You can see it's the numbers right there in the center, 6, 4, and then 2. So we get 4 million. So we can go 1, 2, 3, 4. If we had multiple ones, we would collect more, of course, but that's what we had right there. So what we've also done is we've exposed one of the sides on B, so we've also made it a little bit easier in the future to try to eradicate the B molecule as well. And then, is there anything that we want to do? I don't think so. We're not going to get any of these over here. What Marvin the lab rat does is Marvin lets us go through and he sacrifices himself to automatically destroy any molecule on the virus without using proteins. Collect funding and place the molecule on the antibody as normal. Remove this card from the game after use. So this is kind of neat. If you get kind of in a jam, you can use him and just target any particular molecule. I would really recommend using the harder to get ones, of course. Okay, so we're not going to use any lab cards right now, and that then takes us to the containment check. So right now we need to roll 3 to 6 because we're in the first phase over there, in the outbreak phase, and we don't have any modifier in the death area over there. So let's see what happens. 3 to 6, 3 to 6. All right. So we rolled a 5. We pass the containment, and then we go through and we do the cleanup phase once again. Take these out. Put 3 new proteins down. There we go. Lab cards, we didn't purchase any. And then here we have the ability to take one of these and discard. So let's say I'll take this guy, I'll discard it, and I'll draw another one here. And then income. So we're still in the outbreak phase and we get bumped up 2. And heck, we're on a roll. Let's do one more turn. So we'll take the next card here, and mutation. Draw 1 molecule from the molecule pool and place it on the lowest vacant B hex. Boy, that's kind of a bummer because we just freed up a B hex over here. So we're kind of back where we started with the C over there. Although if we're able to knock out C, we can knock out 2 of them here at B2 and B4. All right, what else we've got? So it says lab. There's a power failure in Lab C, and Adam the intern really likes Star Trek. You cannot use Mark III lab equipment this round. Okay, and then deaths. Heavy rains in New Orleans have driven the rats out of the sewers. Subtract 1 from your roll on the containment check. Okay, that's not too bad, but let's see what we've got. So we're kind of back up to where we started with the infection, with the virus. Is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got all 7 spots covered up again, just like we started. And let's go through the proteins again. So we've got E, which we don't have any on there. And then we're a little closer to H. And hey, look at that. So for 2 million, we can actually do this. We can solve the H one, and it's going to cost us 2 million. 1, 2. Because that was 0 plus 2. And we can solve the H molecule here, if you can see it. Put that in there. And then solving that guy gave us 4 million. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right there. And then, so we got one of the molecules. We have 2 of them solved right now. We freed up another spot. We're back down to 6. And at this point, we can try to do something with some of the cards. Yeah, we're not going to do anything right now. And then, hey, we're back to containment check. So again, we're still in level 1. We need to roll 3 to 6. 2. Oh, bummer. So this guy goes up to level 2. So the first 3 spots are still in the outbreak phase where we still get 2 million each turn. So we're still okay, but we're 1 closer to the end over here with the skull. So in terms of Endgame, there's 4 ways that the game can end. So the first one is that this death toll track goes all the way down to the end. So as soon as you get over there, hey, game over. The virus basically went rampant and kind of killed everybody. The other way that you would lose the game is if you're battling the virus and you just can't contain it, and then it fills all of these 19 spots over here in the petri dish. If all 19 are filled, then game over. The other thing is that if you totally run out of proteins, if you run out of proteins, meaning you've got them too spread out over here, you got like one in each of these antibodies, and you can't solve any of them, as soon as you can't put any proteins in the incubator, game over. Now, we have a discard pile up here. If we totally ran out of these guys over here, so at that, let's say at the next cleanup phase, we would just take the discard pile and refresh. So if you don't have anything in a discard pile and you don't have anything in a fresh stock to refill the incubator, then the game is over. They call that out of options. And then the other way to end the game, of course, is to target all of these molecules and wipe them off the map. That means you save the day, and that is the winning condition for this game. So you kind of saw how the game plays. It's got a fair amount of kind of like strategy in it, because you're looking to see what you can, which of these antibodies you can build to target which molecules, and the order that you do them in is important, of course. So if you've got a B and you're trying to get the B, but it's locked in there, you're going to need to target the outside ones to open it up so you can get in there. And the virus keeps mutating. As soon as you're making some good head ground, hey, all of a sudden 3 molecules come back in and they basically just lock up everything. Or you're targeting, let's say, F and A, and then all of a sudden both of those get switched out, like we had, I think, in the first or second turn. So these molecules get switched out, and then you're kind of back on drawing board again, because you're going for the antibodies that aren't on the board over there. And then you've got some abilities that you can use with the lab equipment and with the people, and you really need to leverage these in order to make the game kind of tilt in your favor, because if you keep going, it's pretty much guaranteed that you're fighting kind of a losing battle, and so you need these cards to kind of give you a little bit of an edge. Even something like Marvin the Rat over here, him sacrificing himself and being able to knock out a key one of those molecules, I mean, that's a big deal, because that can like swing it to a winning condition for you in a couple of turns. And then another thing that you get on some of these is in the molecules over here, and we didn't really cover this in here, is that you get some special event tokens, and when you draw these, you can refer to the manual here. So the back of the manual has a list of all of the special events. So like here, this is lab bonus down here at the bottom. So keep this token and play it to buy higher an available lab card for half of the cost. Rounded down, discard after use. So the blue guys here are good conditions, and then these guys over here are bad conditions. So there's two of these, two good, two bad, in a particular game. The rest are out of the game, as you only choose 2 of them when you set up the game initially. Okay, so that's pretty much it for Infection, Humanity's Last Gasp. And this game was a pretty big surprise to me. I was really excited when I first heard about the game, and I figured it was going to be something like a pandemic, but I was pleasantly surprised. It had much more of like a puzzle-solving ability, where you're trying to figure out which antibodies you're going to need to get to solve the particular molecules over there. And it's got a big give and take type of aspect, where as soon as you think you're getting a little bit ahead, then all of a sudden, boom, you get kind of knocked down. And the death toll marker over here, you'll find that it keeps creeping up, and you get those die rolls that are not very pleasant in the containment phase. Some of those cards they'll subtract a high number, like 2, from your roll at an inopportune time, just when you need to just squeak by. So it was a pleasant surprise. It's a very enjoyable solo game, and I believe that's John Gibson's first game, and I'd say he's done an excellent job. A very enjoyable game, for sure. I only wish it had one of those hardboards, not just the fold-out ones, because I find that this kind of wobbles on the table a little bit, and it tends to move around, as you can see. But it's okay. It's okay for what it is. And then one thing also is I'm really pleasantly surprised by the thickness of the chips that they use. The laser cutter makes some nice sharp edges on all of the components, and let's see if we can focus in on that. And I really like these guys. I was really surprised. I'd heard some things about the components online, where people were complaining about the soot, and it's not bad. I don't even wipe these anymore. I wiped the Darkest Night game, and I'll never do that again. It's too much of a pain. But the components are really nice, and they have nice clean edges. They don't have like little curves to them like you'll get from the regular stamped chits or components, tokens, whatever you want to call them. So again, I'm pleasantly surprised by this, and I think that Victory Point Games has a winner on their hands over here. And I did also read on the author's website that he is working on an expansion for this, so it'll be very interesting to see what that's going to be. So this is Infection, Humanity's Last Gasp. If you like solo play games, definitely give this one a shot. I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun and a pretty big challenge too. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll catch you all next time.